Good morning. TMOT back again for another drive time. Something you don't want to miss. House cleaning, if you can like it, you can share it. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Never take the light of truth and place it under a basket. Let it shine bright so that all may see. All right. So if you paid attention, I did a video yesterday saying that you must watch Biden today as he deals with the so-called unvaxxed. All right. And he did. He laid out his 6-point plan. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I am going to give you some key points of information that you need to be aware of. Now, I'm not worried about this video getting me banned on YouTube, Facebook, or anything, because everything that I'm going to say is going to be somewhat benign in terms. You'll just have to figure it out if you don't understand where I'm coming from. But I am not about to give any medical advice. I am not about to tell you what you should take in lieu of, not getting into any of that. I'm just going to give you some key points of information. So let's get into this. 9 months ago, segregation Jim Crow Joe said, and I'm going to put the link in the information box after this video is posted and uploaded, so you can come back maybe an hour later and you'll see it. Words out of his own mouth. I will not mandate vaccines. I won't even do nationwide mask mandates. Now, these words came out of his mouth. But here is the strange part about it. His followers, they don't give a damn. Despite segregation, Jim Crow Joe's segregation is past, and all the lies that he has been caught in over the years. I played one particular video almost twice a week. Joe Biden talked, well, I graduated in the top of my class. That's the one where he said, and I'll guarantee you my IQ is higher than yours. And he didn't graduate in the top of his class. He graduated near the bottom of his class. So understand the type of person that we're dealing with. He has a segregationist past. But the saddest part is that Negroes voted for him, disregarding his segregationist past. Man, it boggles my mind. So that video where Joe Biden said he wouldn't mandate is there, and we saw yesterday where he did the exact opposite of what he was going to do. Don't this sound strangely like Afghanistan? Yeah, sounds just like Afghanistan. We will not leave anybody behind, and that's exactly what they did. All right. So now understand this. After Joe did that, now I'm gonna digress just for a minute. I told you Afghanistan was a distraction. The Supreme Court made a ruling in late July that states could mandate. 2 weeks later, Joe Biden announces the pullout out of Afghanistan. All hell breaks loose. And I said, the war you need to be watching is the one that's taking place over here in the US of A. All right, but you know, people, they just didn't believe me. All right, so what was I getting ready to get into? Immediately after Joe Biden got off the phone. Oh, you know what? Off the air. I need to say this here before I get to that. Fully vaccinated, can you still get sick? Fully vaccinated, can you still contract? Fully vaccinated, can you still transmit to others? Fully vaccinated, can you still die? All right. So that was a 4-question quiz. If you know the answer to that, you know, bravo and God bless you. All right. So immediately after this, Joe Biden, guess what? The CDC posts, we are changing the definition of vaccine because we don't want there to be no confusion about the effectiveness of it. In other words, it's not as effective as dumbasses are inclined to believe. Yeah, I said dumbasses. Because there's plenty of evidence to show you that something is amiss just about how they did this. One man, our economy, one election. Those of you that follow me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So getting on back to the meat of it, they are changing the definition so that there ain't going to be no issue with the big pharma and their indemnity. So we're going to say we put it out there. So when it comes back to bite us in the ass, it won't really matter because we changed the definition. What does this remind you of? That word that Negroes like to use and call each other all the time? Nigga, and they have redefined, or no, it was redefined for them when they got called on it. Oh, well, that's just a term of endearment. So what a vaccine used to mean, something that we have tested, taken through trials, done yada, yada, yada. If we had a problem, 26 people died, I think, with polio, and they shut the whole damn thing. Anyway, I digress. So we are changing the definition of vaccines because you know what? When we get called on it 10 years from now, after this thing is effing everybody up, we will say, well, we put it out there. We told you this is what it means now. And this is what it meant back when we changed it. All right. But nobody is going to remember why. Nobody. Big Pharma is completely indemnified against screwing you over if it hurts you. That ought to scare the hell out of you. And now Rand Paul and Tom Cotton called this a bioweapon 18 months ago. Rand Paul and Tom Cotton are calling for Fauci to be prosecuted and given the max, which is 5 years. That's just for lying. But they also called on an investigation. What do you think will happen when they start investigating? Fauci will either suicide himself or Fauci will start naming names. That's exactly what will happen. We all know what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Fauci is considerably worried about what Rand Paul and Tom Cotton are calling for. They have the lies and they can prove them. Whether you like it or not, they can. Now, to protect yourself, the unvaxxed like me, this is what you need to know. And then I'll be done. If your employer, something I need to give you, got to digress for just a minute. Joe Biden said and told you back in August or July, I am going to count on businesses to help with the mandate. Also, when I think after his inauguration and a speech that he gave, the same thing, I am going to count on businesses. Why? The government can't literally violate your Fourth Amendment protections or the Constitution. He knows he can't. He has to go around to reach those in the private sector. So he's doing that with businesses. Now, guess what? The government controls the United States Postal Service. They are not being required to. No, sir. No, sir. A whole lot of black people work for the post office. Now, I don't know what in ratio that is compared to those that are white, but we know the numbers now. 70% of Negroes are unvaccinated. Only 30% are white. And I got to ask myself, well, who's smarter on this one? Well, I think it's more of a Negroes. Many of them know what the government did to the Tuskegee Airmen. Told them they were treating them for syphilis while they watched the disease progress and destroy them and how it impacted them. Think about that. That's some scary dung, man. That's some wicked dung. And then with all that we know about Fauci and gain of function and Wuhan, I understand why a lot of them Negroes, but you know what? They offered them $100 gift cards up here in DeKalb County. They had so many Negroes out there, they could have made a Tarzan movie. They had to shut it down because they ran out of gift cards. All right, $100. They gave up all of their fear for $100. That's a doggone shame. Anyway, don't quit your job. That's number one when they come at you. If you're in the private sector, or even if you work for the government sector, one of them federal government jobs, do not quit. Let them fire you. If you don't understand why, it ain't nothing I can give you now. You just don't get it. Offer up when they come at you a religious or a medical or both as an exemption. Yes, you can do that. Then you will understand the true nature of Revelations 13:17. Neither great nor small could buy or sell. This is where they are trying to take us. I told you, this is more about how much control do we have over people than so much the vaccine. The vaccine was a tool. Fauci was a tool. China, they're a tool, and they use us as a tool. Do you understand where I'm coming from? The CIA and crack cocaine in the Negro neighborhood. Huh? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Anyway, I digress. Do not quit your job. Move for a religious or medical exemption or both. Okay? That's what you got to do. And get an understanding of what people actually think about your ability to choose what you do with your own body. Now, don't bring up abortion, because the life being ripped out of the womb is not that of the mother. And I shouldn't call it a womb. It's actually a hellhole at that point. So stand your ground and understand this last thing, and I'm going to shut up. You have to be willing to sacrifice some things in your life in order to have what you want. And the have in this, and not necessarily that much of a want, because you were given that by God. They call it an unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if not wanting to risk your life for an experimental gene therapy is not an example of wanting to be free to choose not to, I don't know what else is. I really don't. And the last thing, and then I'm going to shut up. Joe Biden said we are going to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. That is the segregationist Joe's true colors. Okay? Now, if you are a reasonable person and you made it to this far in the video, what I'm about to say to you is pure logic. If you have on a mask and you have been fully vaccinated, why are you fearful of the unvaccinated? They can't hurt you. If you are fully vaccinated and you can still get the virus and transmit it, provable facts, you are more of a threat to the unvaccinated that didn't go and fall for what you fell for and are not shedding the virus. These are facts. But segregation, Jim Crow Joe Biden got on TV and said, I am going to protect the vaccinated against the unvaccinated. Not about the virus. What he is trying to do is make sure that we become dumbasses like you, the vaccinated, that will stand by and cheer on the Runaway Slave Act of today, saying, yes, yes, make them get that shot. I got it, but I was scared. But I got it. Make them get that shot. Make them put it in their arm. Yeah, fire them. Make them suffer. That is segregation. Rich white people in the times of slavery made poor white people angry with the Negro. It's the Negroes that's brought about this civil war when they wanted to keep the slave. Didn't no poor white people have slaves. Now, these idiots that have gotten vaccinated, and I'm talking about a subset, those that want the government to use the force wielded by government to force those that don't want it to get it. Those are the ones that I'm talking about. Those are the dumbasses of America. And there's another class of dumbasses, just not as bad. They are the Republicans who support rhinos and keep them in office, because we wouldn't be here if it were not for rhinos pretending that they were representing half of America, the conservatives. We wouldn't have gone down this path. We wouldn't have been in Afghanistan for 20 years. Joe Biden wouldn't be in office. The rhinos that are the governors of those states, the swing states that allow for the unfettered checking of unvetted and unverified ballots. Yes, Trump won that election. Now that might get me in trouble, but who cares? I went longer than I wanted to, and I think I'm about to shut it up. When you run into somebody that thinks that they have a right to choose what you put in your body, man, something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with that person. And this is really the last thing. That actor who played in The Wire, Michael something, don't recall his last name, died from an overdose. You know, that guy is the reason why I stopped watching The Wire, because they used him to indoctrinate us. And if you don't know where I'm coming from, don't even worry about it. Same thing with Oz. I stopped watching Oz, R.K. Simmons, and you can see a lot of that indoctrination stuff in movies that he plays in. Can't be in one and not have it in there. But there was one, the Tomorrow War. He was in that, and that wasn't allowed. I guess that's because he wasn't part of those that were producing it. Anyway, you gotta get a hold of what's going on and what they are doing to you. Because when they want to force you to do something and use government to do it, that person has lost their way. And we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for rhino supporters keeping rhino politicians in office, making that other half of America think that they were up there fighting for us while they were working behind the scenes with the Democrats to move us forward into all of this nonsense. Butter and bullets, social welfare programs, and the military-industrial complex. That's what this all comes down to. And if you don't want to put that junk in your arm, you better stand and fight. That part I can't do for you. But in this room, I am one spine, and I know I will stiffen some others. Some of you, you just probably need to get out of the room. But don't try and put it down on us, because we aren't willing to go where you went. Bottom line, segregationist Jim Crow Joe has vowed to protect. Now hear me on this, because I'm going to put this video in the information box too. He has vowed to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. Only difference is race don't mean a damn thing right now, because they are in for a penny, in for the full pound. This is the same thing that segregation Jim Crow Joe did in '94 with the crime bill. I don't care about their background. I don't care if they didn't have the benefit of a positive upbringing. It's not my fault that they didn't have any of that. Because if it's your mother, if it's your grandmother, if it's your daughter, if it's your wife, we don't want them on the streets. He called them super predators. And you know he was talking about Negroes. And this is the same damn thing he did. Let's say 3 times the charm. Same thing he did when he rallied with Robert Byrd to keep those schools segregated. Segregation Jim Crow Joe. That's why I call him that. They need to be taken off the streets. Speaking of the young black predators They need to be taken off the street. And now, the unvaccinated need to be dealt with. You can't fly. You can't shop. You can't go to a ball game. You can't go and dine out in a restaurant with other people. And hell, you cannot work. Cannot buy or sell. If I don't know what that means, then I don't know a damn thing. Joe Biden is a bum. He is I'm not going to get into all of that. I've given you all you need to know. You do the rest with whatever you want to. TMOT out. Drive time till next time.